What's up, everybody? It's your coach. Okay, very different podcast today than I'm usually doing, but I love this stuff. I love doing different stuff. I love getting people with different opinions of the world, even of me, of anybody. When Tucker Carlson had Trump on, it shot through the roof on Twitter/X, whatever. It went crazy. I did a post about it. Obviously, my Trump people adored me. My not so Trump people destroyed me, hated me, all the classics. But one person in the comments said, you should have Coach D on your show. Gave me his link, whatever, and I looked at it. Never heard of Coach D. Didn't know what he was doing, but I looked at all his stuff. From California, I'm a Cuban dude from Miami, and super left, super liberal on a lot of things. I love Trump. I love America. I love all this stuff, but I focus on, not that he doesn't love America, but I love America and I love the stuff of America. But the reason why this conversation is so important is, all props to this guy for coming on my show. I don't want to attack him. I don't want to say, well, why do you say this? Why do you say that? Blah. I wanted to focus on, number one, what brought us together. A, we're two minorities. B, we're both athletes. C, we're both coaches. He coaches women's track, does very well. The dude's very well spoken. Awesome. He's so consistent, so passionate about what he does. And I wanted to share that. And I think when two sides meet, and if the two sides meet with, hey, what do we have in common first? And then where can we start building together? I think that's the win. I wish this dude would be, as he's involved with it on social, he's the guy you need. There's a guy like this that the community can rally around, that the black community leads, that the minority community leads. This is the guy. But he's a teacher. But he's the guy. He's so good. He's passionate. Speaks very well. He could be the face. But that's why this show for me was so important. Because it shows if America in 2024, that's coming out, we're in the holiday season 2024, if we can rally together, and I believe in this, you believe in that, I invite you on my show, or you invite me on your show, and we can have a conversation and say, man, that's a cool dude, that's a cool dude. I'm not gonna edit in a way where he looks like a clown or I look bad. Just, it is what it is. I think that's huge. So with all that, hope you enjoy this episode of the Coach HP Show with my man, Coach D Speaks. Let's go. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? It's your coach. Welcome to the #1 positivity podcast on the internet right now, the Coach HP Show. All right, Coach D. So I did a post, and under in my DM, somebody tagged you and said, "This is a real coach. This is the guy you should be listening to," which is cool, and that's why I appreciate you coming on. Question number one, are you a coach of some kind?
Yeah, I'm a track and field coach. I'm a college track and field coach. I'm also a professor of health and physical education.
Nice, dude. Did you run track yourself?
Yeah, I ran track in college. I ran track a little professionally as well.
What a hurdle, sprint? What are we looking at?
I was a sprinter.
Nice, man. And you're in California?
I'm in California, yeah.
Born there?
No, born in Louisiana, actually. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana. Moved to California in the 8th grade, and I've been here since then.
Nice, dude. What do you like better?
I like California. I've been back times, love it there as well, but I like it here. I'm going to be here for a while. I like it.
Coach D, one of the things that I like to do, man, is you know way more political stuff than me. So I'm not here to talk to you about political because I have no clue about what you know, right? But whether I agree with people or not, anybody that has the balls to go on camera and post their opinion, in my opinion, deserves respect, man, because it's super hard. People think it's easy, but when you do this, it's hard because you're putting what you think out there, and whether you care about it or not, I think it's a big deal. So I wanted to give you credit for doing that.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Same to you, man. Same to you. I agree. anytime you're putting yourself out there, you open yourself up to criticism, you open yourself up to everything, and I'm built for it. I don't buy it, doesn't bother me at all. So I enjoy doing it. And just to give you a little background on me, I started doing TikToks, and I was doing like dance videos with my wife and my daughters, right? Just whatever, just having fun, because some of my athletes were like, I was posting videos on Instagram and they were like, "Hey coach, those videos you post on Instagram, you should do that on TikTok." I had never heard of TikTok. I listened to Gary Vee. Gary Vee said something about like, "Hey, if you're a little older, you should get on TikTok right now because you'll be on the cutting edge of it." So my athletes were saying it. Gary Vee said it. I jumped on TikTok. Then the George Floyd thing happened. I made one video about, hey, these cops should be held accountable or whatever. And that's when I had already had like gotten about 100,000 people following just for my
No
dance.
way.
Yeah. And then when I did the George Floyd thing, it just shot up more to like 200,000. Now I'm at 330,000, and most people who follow me on there want to hear my political commentary. And it's funny because my wife is happy because she's like, I don't have to dance anymore. And my daughters, honestly, they're not like, they don't really care about being on social media and stuff like that. They're both college track athletes as well right now. Um, so yeah, so that's how it started basically. And so my whole political thing was, I really wasn't trying to get into that, but the George Floyd thing happened, and then more people were asking me, "Hey, what do you think about this and that?" So it became its own little animal, and that's how I got into it really.
But when I see people that have talents, right?
Mm-hmm.
With you, you clearly have a talent in what you do. Have you, because you speak very well. Like even, and it's hard to freestyle because you're not reading a script, but you don't mumble, you don't like, because when I speak very passionate, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
because it ain't my first language, I'll like get up, you don't. You speak very clean and very to the point, man. Do you in your brain, have you thought of becoming a politician at all?
No, so my background was in mass communication and broadcast journalism. So I got a bachelor's degree in that. I did a little bit of television and radio, and then I went back to school to get my master's so that I could teach and coach at a junior college. And I've thought about politics earlier on, but I think politics are dirty, man. I just think I think it's muddy, and I don't want to really become that. So I would rather talk about politics. I'll consult with people who are in politics. I'll advise people. But as far as like getting into it and actually putting my hat into the ring, I don't see myself doing that. I've been asked to do that by a few people. But honestly, if people, I don't know if my politics fits in with the Democrats enough or the Republicans enough or anything like that. I mean, you see my stuff, and I'm definitely a progressive, but there's probably some areas where I think right now these days you have to be pretty polarized. You have to be like, you got to choose one side, and you got to be full line that side or full line the other. So I'd rather just give my opinions on things, really.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree. By the way, Gary Vee's my boy, so that's funny that you said that. That's awesome. He's the
Nice.
best, man. He's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I love that you said the thing of you gotta be an extremist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the video that I posted was it was Anderson, it was Anderson Cooper, it was Tucker Carlson and Trump, right? And I spoke over it. You know how like you've done it too, like where you have them in the background, I'm speaking, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, listen, the it was they have 246 million views on X or Twitter, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and much like I did it also like a year ago when Trump went on the Nelk podcast, I
Mm-hmm.
just celebrated the fact that that's the new medium, you know? Not necessarily that I ever say, hey, Trump is going to win or that person's going to, or that I say to, but I put these guys, look, are the new platform where people can say their truths, right? And then I get destroyed by people who are like, oh, thank you for reminding me to unfollow you and all stuff because I put the Trump stuff, whatever, which it is what it is. You get the reverse. When you go with your opinion, you get people that just come out of nowhere and it sucks as that you'll get the racist stuff, which sucks. You know, they'll either put you down or stuff like that, whatever, right? A guy like you, I think, is important because you understand that you can't be all the way to the left or all the way to the right, right? How do you, when you look at your content, man, do you think of trying to balance that at all, or are you like, listen, I'll just keep going one way and see how that goes? How do you think about that?
So there's certain things that I'm more passionate about than others, and so I'll try to touch on those more than anything. And it's not really about balancing for me. Like I'll just say, like, I got the same as you, right? When I transitioned from like just dance videos to doing politics, people are like, I didn't come on here to see you talk about politics. I come here to see you dance. Like first of all, don't try to tell me what to do, right?
Right, right,
It's my
right.
know, I've had a lot of people come on my platform and ask me, "Oh, why don't you balance this out more?" And I just tell them, "Yo, you have a page too. Like, if there are things on my page you don't see that you think should be out there, talk about those. But things that I'm passionate about women's rights. I have a wife and two daughters, man. I want to see people respect them. I want to see, women be respected. I want to see women have rights and stuff. I'm passionate about, black issues. I'm passionate about seeing the black community get uplifted. And that's by any means. I mean, I think there's a piece of government intervention that needs to happen. But as a black man who advises black students and black athletes, I tell them like yo, like let's get things done as well. Sometimes I feel like as a progressive, or people call me a liberal Democrat or whatever, they think that as a black man, I'm just out there telling kids to oh, just be a victim or whatever, like just try to get, reparations and blah blah blah. No, my conversations with black men athletes is be a respectable person. Try to take this track. I'm a track coach. Try to take this track to parlay that into a good life. Like I have a good life. Like people always say, "Oh, you're being a victim." If you look at my videos and stuff in my home and my backyard, like I live a good life. I can admit that, but that doesn't mean I'm going to turn my back on people who don't. So I'm an advocate for people. I'm always going to, and sometimes that can be taken as, "Oh, you're too liberal, or you too this and that." If you want to call me that, fine. But I'm going to advocate for people. I'm going to advocate for women. I'm going to advocate for black people. I'm going to advocate for Hispanics. I'm going to advocate for even the LGBTQ community. I'll have people say, "Oh, like they always want to go to the extremes and stuff." Where I'm more of an advocate for just respect people. You know what I'm saying? Like I have people in my classes who are transgender. I have people in my classes who are gay, bi, and this and that. My opinion is respect them. Like you can have your thoughts about them in your head or whatever, but like to a person, like just respect people. That's really where I stand. So I try not to touch on too many things that I'm not passionate about, and I
Right.
guess that can come off as like not balancing things.
Yeah, I get it. No, I completely understand. Coach
Mm-hmm.
D, how did you? Because I could tell by the videos you're not like in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the way you speak is like a guy who's successful, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
success there, and there's happiness there. There's not
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
guy who's like miserable or with his life or any of that, right? How? What do you think? What do you think got you to be more successful than let's say the people you are representing or talking about? Is that because pops was involved? Is that because your dad wasn't involved and you made a choice yourself through sports, whatever? How come you didn't fall to traps that people are falling into?
So that I'm glad you asked this question, because you're about to hear a lot about this. Is going to make sense to you a lot more. So I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. My father was abusive to my mother. We moved in the middle of the night. My mother, so my uncle went to the military. After going into the military, he got a job at the Lawrence Livermore Lab, which is in Livermore. It's a big lab out there, NASA type of stuff or whatever. He was a police officer there. We woke up, and my mom woke us basically up in the middle of the night and said, "Put what you can in these bags. We're leaving," because she wanted to escape my father and escape the ghetto that we lived in. We moved
Wow.
to a small town in California because my uncle bought a house there. So we moved from New Orleans, Louisiana, the hood, to a small town in California. My opportunity got better. So when I talk about advocating, it's because I know that the community I grew up in, if it was given the resources of the community I moved into when we left New Orleans, more people would thrive as well. So my uncle gave us a better life. I had an older brother who, when I was 15 years old, he was 19 years old. He decided he's going to move back to New Orleans. He was in the drug game, the gang game, and everything like that. He was shot and killed after he moved back to New Orleans. That was a big eye-opening experience for me as well, even though I didn't live in the hood anymore at all. I grew up in a small white town. So fast forward, if you want to know what got me here, one, coaches. My dad wasn't in the picture at all. I had some very good coaches. men, women who had my back. My mom worked 3 jobs, was on welfare, went to college, did all those things, things that many people will say, well, dang, man, like she did it, but my thing is like, why did she have to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a hard life to have to do in order to get me where I am today. So so track and field, coaches, my mother got me to college. Once I got to college, that environment, the guys that I hung out with, the clubs I was in, the track program, that kept me focused, right? I always wanted to do something. Even though I grew up in the hood, I had 2 older brothers who really protected me a lot. So I didn't have to fight and stuff like that. I was kind of like just the dude who was just, cool, like, trying to run track, trying to play sports or whatever. So that kept me out of things. But, I have, my dad had 3 other kids with another woman. And one of those guys was shot and killed as well. So I have a brother and a stepbrother who were both killed because of the drug and the gang life and stuff. So there was a choice in there at some point where when I was in high school, I got into a little bit of trouble. It was a big culture shock moving from a fully black area to a fully white area. So that changed a little bit about me as well. But I think just like aspiring to be something, I had a lot of coaches sit me down and say, listen, man, like you're a smart dude, but you're not like showing that right now. You're not applying yourself. And so I started to apply myself a little bit more. And these are the conversations I have with my athletes. Like, this is why I'm where I am today. Like, people ask me, oh man, because I've had a lot of success as a JUCO coach, and people will be like, man, why don't you go to the Division I level? I don't want to be at the Division I level. I want to be at the JUCO where kids need a successful black role model, a person of color to be a role model to them. So I'm going to be here, probably forever, because I
Nice.
like it. So, long story short, to answer your question, it was my mother, good coaches, just having good role models that kind of kept on getting on me, like, dude, like, let's do this right or whatever. So that's what got me there. Um,
That's great, dude. See, yeah, you got lucky, man, because I'm Cuban, right? And I was born in Cuba, but I was raised here. And to me, it's like this is me growing up now, like every 4 years, whatever politician was running for office, whatever, which was usually for majority of the time it was Republican, then it was a little bit Democrat, but then Miami now is really Republican, right? Everybody would come down to Miami, and whatever politician it was, Trump wouldn't do this, but everybody else, they wear like a guayabera, which is like a standard. You know what a guayabera is? It's like the linen long sleeve thing that you wear in Cuba and they so they'll wear that.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they,
those. Yeah, they'll wear you see the Dominican and in Jamaica, so they'll wear one of those. They'll say Cuba Libre, yeah, 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 yeah. Get the vote, get out of here, and not do never nothing with Cuba ever, right?
mhm.
So I almost feel in essence, in the black community, that happens too, right? So it's literally like they get used, they get this, and whatever funding goes, like nothing's happening and whatever, man. What would you do if, let's say, they put you in power now, right?
Mhm.
What do you do? Like, let's say, like an example, like today, it just came out that in San Francisco, whether it's Nordstrom or Saks Fifth Avenue, they got out of San Francisco because of the
Mhm.
crime, whatever, right? You're in charge of California now, knowing what you know. I think anybody that has a family, the first thing is safety. Because, man, if you don't
Mhm.
have safety, we're in trouble, right? How do you change that, man?
Man, this is such a hard thing because I talk to people about this. First, I think resources are important. I believe in law enforcement. I believe that, and I think most Black communities believe in law enforcement. We believe in law enforcement that's held accountable as well. So I believe in law enforcement. So one, we gotta get crime down, right? But I don't think the way you do it is just by going in and saying we're going to set these laws and we're going to abide by them. And if you fall into that, you're getting arrested. I feel like this. I grew up in a full Black community and I grew up in a full white community. My white community that I grew up in had way more resources than that Black community did. So when
Right.
people talk about reparations, right? People talk about reparations. I believe in reparations in the form of like funding communities more, right? Like you look at like people will always have a problem with like money, right? Oh, where's that money going to come from? Tax dollars, this, tax dollars, that. Like in 2022, we paid $84 million for military members to get Viagra. I know for sure right now, because I talk to people, I'm not going to give too much information, but I just know that there are people who have, you know, said they needed, said they needed Viagra just so that they could get it is in the military and sell it on the street. Like, let's say we took that 84 million and we said, hey, y'all got to find a way to get your erection on your own damn way. You know, we take that 84 million per year. We say, let's invest that into a community that doesn't have sidewalks, a community that doesn't have like grocery stores, or that has jobs within like walking distance or a bus ride away, so that we can give these like parents, like, I don't believe there are people in the hood, in the ghetto, on welfare even, who want to be in that situation. Are there some? Yes. But we've vilified like poor people so much in this country. It's like, oh, they're poor. That's because they want to be that way. Oh, look at that person. They're able-bodied and they're sitting home and they're doing nothing. That's like this percentage of it. The average person is my mother. 3 jobs, going to college, raising 2 kids, trying to do something so that she can put back into the system that gave to her. So my thing is, do we need law enforcement? Absolutely, we do. We need to make sure that we keep crime down so families can want to live amongst each other, right? And
Right.
then 2, we need to fully resource. Like, books in my community were torn up. They were never renewed. You give people something to be proud of, I guarantee you they're going to take care of it. Like, my community I live in now, that I grew up in, is where it is because it had more resources. And these are historical things. And a lot of
Right.
people don't talk about this, but these are historical things. You have to go back. If you want to talk about a ghetto, you got to talk about how a ghetto became that. Like, people don't move into a place and go, I want to turn it into this. Like, remember, they were redlined into these areas, right? They were put into some of these areas where people live right now that we call ghettos, right? The hood or whatever. They were redlined into those areas. They were they were put there by the government, said, you can't buy homes over here. You can only get homes over here. So now you have them in an area that has less resources, right? Their property, their taxes are paid by property value, right? Property value is lower, so the tax dollars in that community pays for schools, books, transportation, all that. You have less in these ghettos because there's less capital in there. So what do you get? You get people who don't have things to be proud of. You have families who don't have a industry to go to find a good job. Like, there's nothing but jobs where I live right now. If I go to Oakland, certain parts of there, you don't have a good job within 10 miles of your area. You're working fast food, corner stores. Those things are prevalent in these communities. You try to put a corner store in my neighborhood right now, the entire community would have an uproar. You do it in the ghetto, you don't have that as much. And
Right.
even if you did, they do it anyway.
No, and it takes also like a superwoman like your mom to do a tremendous effort, and have she got the break that your uncle was a stand-up guy and was able to help you guys out, which is a big deal, man. When I never have these conversations because I'm in the parenting sports world.
Mm-hmm.
So race and stuff like that doesn't enter. And I lived in Los Angeles for 6 years. I lived in Las Vegas for 4, but I've grown up here in Miami, and Miami's almost like reverse racism because if you don't speak Spanish or Latin, we're the majority here, right? So the Americans here, hey, like nobody here speaks English. I mean, it's like you go to a store, a gas station, if you don't speak Spanish, it's like the reverse, right? But when the George Floyd thing happened, a lot of people reached out to me and they
Mm-hmm.
asked me, like from both sides, right? Whether it was black friends of mine or white friends of mine or white athletes, black athletes, and when the Mets and when baseball started to protest, like take a knee and all that stuff, a lot of people asked me, they asked me for my opinion, and I've never been scared to share my opinion because number one, I've always come from a place of good. Even if, let's say, it was a wrong opinion or people don't agree with it, fuck, man, I want everybody to win. I want you to win. I want the old version of you to win. I want everybody to win, right? So I want to see if you agree with the advice that I said. So I said, because they're like, oh, this is not good for kids to see this, blah, blah, whatever, right? My opinion was this. I go, number one, kids, no matter what you are, you need to see the realities of the world. That's number one,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to be exposed to it. Look, this is happening because this and that, right? The people that were against George Floyd, like, yeah, this guy was a criminal. He's been a bad person his whole life, blah, blah, right? The neutral part of that, yeah, but he doesn't deserve to die that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's punishable ways for crimes, but that way's not a way to do it, right? So what I came and said, I go, listen, man, my dad, just like your dad, my dad not only abused my mom, but abused the shit out of me, like just crazy to a point like really, 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 really bad, right? But my dad has a couple of good things, like all evil people or people that have done bad do. And one of the things was I was with him 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So he was constantly, Coach D, educating me on life. And my dad prepared me for everything except to deal with him. So if you take away me dealing with him, the dude prepared me for everything, right? So he would come and tell me, if you ever have any issues with the police, two hands on the steering wheel, yes, sir, no, sir, answer the questions, and we take it from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I now understand, which coincidentally happened the other day at a Whole Foods. There was a mistake. Somebody called somebody. I'm with my daughter. They described a bald guy with tattoos. I'm bald with tattoos. And not only that, a police comes out of the corner as I'm in the Whole Foods putting my daughter in a Tesla, right? Not doing criminal, doing criminal, but in a Tesla, right? And in a plaid. And all of a sudden, a police officer comes out, draws his gun on me out of nowhere, right? My 4-year-old daughter's in the back. I'm a 44-year-old man that understands the image that I portray. If you don't know me, so I'm always trying to diffuse people with positivity and kindness, just so you don't think I'm a bad person, right? So there's no like, hey, there's no threat to anything, right? But I know this as a 40-year-old man. So not only am I doing that, but I'm holding in my hand, because since I work with everybody's kids, I'm friends with the mayor, with a bunch of cops that are a badge that the guy gave me, and I'm holding this up in the air. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what to do, right? The guy comes to the corner. On top of that, Coach D, I recognize the guy because he went to my high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I lower the window. I go, dude, I can't shut this car off, bro. But didn't we go to high school together? He said, yeah. So I will see. So he explained to me all the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I want to tell you is, I got lucky enough, in some sense, that I had an adult constantly preach to me what to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? What happens is, as you know, the coolest thing in the culture, or as even as a teenager, is to look like a rapper, an athlete, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That isn't, there's certain responsibilities carried with certain looks, right? When that happens to a kid who's 18, 20 years old, whatever, that looks like a criminal, whether he has dreads or not dreads or tats like me or whatever, and he hasn't been prepped what to do,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be trouble for everybody involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that guy should get killed, the guy should abuse, whatever, and we all know that happens, right? But I think that's one of the things we got to talk about to every junior high school, every high school kid of everything, whatever, because now what you would see happen was, and sometimes it'd be good, statistics. Now the first thing to do is they raise the camera and go, yeah, and
Yeah.
what? So now you're provoking a guy to now do a certain thing, you know? So I wanted to get your opinion on that. And what did you think about that? And was my advice right, that
Yeah.
I think people should learn those skills at least so you could get to a place where representation comes in versus make an officer make a move on you that it's not going to be good?
So my sister was a police officer. Her husband's still a police officer. I've been, the letter of recommendation for many of my former athletes who are police officers as well. So I respect what they do. One thing I want to ask you though is, doesn't it suck to always feel like you have to diffuse other people's biases? Like,
Yes.
like why do you, because you have tattoos, have to go around and put on a happy face all the time? Like, you deserve to have a bad day and not have people think, oh, this guy, he looks like he might be threatening. Like we don't see, and this is a thing, like only black people and people of color um, really have this experience. Like my white friends will literally tell me. I have a white friend right now. I told him that I'm trying to get a CCW, right, to conceal carry, and he's like, "Man, I'm gonna just be real with you. I carry sometimes. I don't have a CCW." He's like, "I realize you don't have that privilege, man, but I do sometimes anyway." Like same thing with like like I feel like blacks and Latinos, like we and dude, you and I, we both I empathize with you on this because I do it too. We have to go around at all times, like making sure people know like we're one of the good ones. Like that's their problem though. I shouldn't have to hide my emotions sometimes. Like there are times in meetings I've been, like you're a professional, obviously, right? I'm a professional. We should be able to sit in a meeting and have a bad day. Because I don't think a white person, I don't think, and I shouldn't say a white person, I should say in general, I don't think white people are having this conversation where they're like, I always have to diffuse other people's biases. I always have to make sure people know I'm a good person. I don't think they're having those conversations. Like, and I think we do ourselves a disservice when we start to judge people because they got tattoos. Like, you're obviously a good dude. So if I walk by you in a store or whatever, and I give you the dirty look or whatever because I have this perception of you because you have tattoos, I could be missing out on somebody that's a good person. I might walk into an interview one day. I mean, you're a coach or whatever, right? You saw me in the store. I gave you a dirty look because you got tattoos. One day I walk into an interview and you're the interviewee. Like, I think we should just respect people more. Now, having said that, yes, I think that there are times, and this is something that some people have a problem with, and I've said this on my TikToks and on my videos. There are times I watch these videos, interactions with police officers, and I think to myself, "Damn, I wish that guy would have done something different there." The person, the criminal or whatever, right? Man, I wish when that cop said, "Hey, show me your hands," he would have just shown his hands. I do. And I've even said, if I were with my black friend, if me and my black friend were hanging out and a cop pulled a gun on us and he's like, get on the ground, and I was on the ground and my friend wasn't, I would pull his ass to the ground because I'd be like, bro, I want you to live to see the next day.
Yeah.
So, but again, doesn't it suck that your dad had to coach you up? Like, do you think that conversation is happening in white homes as much as it's happening in the homes of people of color?
No, no, and then we become victims of. I don't think about it that way because I'm programmed this way, but
Mm-hmm.
and I made a choice to get the tattoos. You didn't make a choice to be black. You know what I'm saying? That's where
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
where I hold myself accountable for it. Not my hair. You got the good hair. I did it, so I had to lose it.
I'm
I
holding
had
on. Hey, my dad, my brothers, they all lost their hair. I don't know how I'm still holding on to it, so I don't want to jinx
You're fighting the good fight, buddy. But
it.
it's just something that I think that if more people, no matter what side you're on of the spectrum, would have conversations like this and say, okay, what's better for the kids of today? How can we prepare them more? What are the resources? Oh, send guys like Coach D back to the hood to help out. That's the perfect guy. Coach D, you want to go back to the hood? You're like, no, man, I'm good. I'm done there. Okay. What if
Hmm.
we work out a thing, a guy like you that has influence, whatever that gets it? What if we pay you whatever you make? We'll double your salary. We'll help you to go. Because that's the people that I think a guy like you has those responsibilities because you have influence, right? And people listen to you and you need a show and you should do something because I think it's key. And whether you go after like people like Candace Owen or you hold them accountable or whatever, I think it's good because you bring a balance into a place that people should listen to, and they could be like, "Oh, I don't agree," or "I do agree," but at least they show something because then what happens is they force you to stay in a place that you're doing great, right? But the problem is still going to be the problem. right? You're
Hmm.
gonna help out Division One athletes or JUCO guys that could run or whatever, but that's what sucks in all this because unless you like guys like you don't help the real people that need it, or the real dads that are right now messing up, and you're like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Okay, you don't want to be with your baby mama or your wife or whatever, but stay involved with the kid, man. Or to talk to the cops, say, listen, be involved in these kids' league, get in a football league, get in a baseball, do something so you're not the enemy. But that's how I see it, man. Let me ask you a question about this to get your opinion on this one. So Donald Trump, right?
Hmm.
When I'll never forget, because to me, no matter what side you're on, everybody's pulling their own scam.
Hmm.
Everybody's running their own play, right? And I'll never forget, Russell Simmons used to have a TV show called, it was something with Russell where he used to show his life, whatever. And he had like interns and stuff like that. And he called up Donald Trump to donate some money. He's like, Donald, bro. And they were talking, bro, more friendlier than me and you. They were all
Hmm.
friends, right?
Yeah.
And what it looks like to me is as long as like, and obviously he's been in a bunch of rap songs till he became everybody loved him, right?
Yep.
It's like if we are all rich and we're going after these models, life is awesome. That's our job, right? We're all winning together. The only
Yep.
strategy is, Coach D, who do you like, man? Oh, you got the brunette? No worry, brother. I'll get the blonde. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's that. Life is great. We're all on our private planes or whatever. But the minute somebody crosses the line to the other side or to whatever, man, I just wish whether you hated Trump or not, one person will come on and say, listen, that was my boy. I hate everything he says politically, bro. Because, like, I'll give you something. There's a lot of things I love about Trump. I hate the fact that he allows a racist thing to continue around him. Whether he's racist or not, or he is or whatever, the fact that he allows that or and it's almost like no, that's the vote, let me just, that's what sucks to me about this whole thing because if he doesn't play that game right, it gets in trouble. And one more thing and then I'll get your opinion. What a guy like me loved about the Trump presidency is there was no threat international, there was a lot of safety, there was money, there was this, there was that, right? What sucked about it is, bro, the riots, the this, the that. Like there was a lot of turmoil, right? Now there's turmoil in reverse. Now there's people robbing stores, doing this, doing that. That
Hmm.
before, wasn't the case, man. What do you think about that? That I said about the Trump and the Russell Simmons things and the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think that I want to say first you were talking about having someone like me go back to the hood or having people that's basically what diversity, equity, and inclusion is, which the right seems to want to demonize. Like just saying, hey, having like I have a friend who does diversity, equity, inclusion things at companies, right? And basically they just go in and say, listen, there are things that you may not get about black kids coming to work for you. They're gonna work well and all that. I think sometimes people will think that like black people are ghetto because they're loud. Like black people are just loud. Slave like loud being loud goes back to slavery. Slaves would like sing and dance and like they try to enjoy themselves and make good of a horrible situation, right? So I think diversity and equity and inclusion is kind of what you're talking about, but that's become like this horrible buzzword now. With Donald Trump, I think you answered your question honestly. I think people who have privilege together, they it like I think I think you have rappers who probably sat in parties with Donald Trump. I'm not saying like maybe said the N word or something, but said some off base stuff. But they're like, man, we're all in here drinking together, having fun. We got girls and all this. I've said this many times. Like when I look at some of the people who kind of worship Donald Trump or whatever that are men, I think it's because they aspire to be a rich guy who gets to like get all the girls, disrespect women in public, and he still became president. The racial thing, I think you said it too. He leverages racists for votes, and it's unfortunate because what that does is like I've called him racist many times because my thing is this: if you know that this voting populace is racist, and someone asks you like, why don't you denounce that? And you don't, you're leveraging that for votes. And I get it. It's like you said, man, we're all trying to do, there's a lot of scamming going on. I was telling my friend the other day, being in this game now, like being in this whole TikTok, Instagram world now, and seeing, money flowing into it, I'm realizing a lot of people are saying things online just to get views and get money.
Yeah.
And I feel like our presidential candidates are doing that as well. And I think the difference in a lot of ways between Republicans and Democrats sometimes is that I do feel like Democrats are trying to do more for people, and even just like for the common man, for like the just like we want to get healthcare for people, for everybody, like why can't we literally will throw $300 billion at a bunch of banks if they are going to go under, but we got people who go to the hospital and have to take out second mortgages on their home because we've allowed like the medical industry to overprice everything and just gouge us to death, right? We can allow subsidies for banks and the oil industry and farmers, but we don't want to subsidize poor people. We can give
No, Ukraine.
um,
Ukraine's out of control, bro. The money there
yeah,
is like crazy.
give money to other countries, not just Ukraine. Like I think there's an interest in not allowing a dictator like Putin to just go in and say we're going to take over Ukraine, right? But like, you know, I don't know, like we throw that around a lot too with the money in Ukraine, but like let's, that I feel like every president when they sign budgets, they send money to other countries. So and a lot of these Republicans who are like, we should be, they're still signing those budgets as well, right? But then you have these same Republicans who got like PPP loans, right? They got those paycheck protection loans, right? And they got those forgiven. But you ask them to forgive, the common person's $10,000 of their student loan debt. Oh, that's socialism. It's like we've had socialism for rich people forever, but we demonize poor people. Like poor people need lobbyists. That's the difference. If poor people had lobbyists, we wouldn't be sitting here. We sit here, I watch people who are literally in the same tax bracket dog each other because one of them is getting a little bit of government assistance and one of them isn't. We give government assistance to corporations every day, all the time. Government assistance to politicians all the time. Like if we look at the budget that politicians use just to put furniture in their offices, like
Yeah, it's crazy.
their cars that they drive, the gas that they get. I watch these politicians fly all around the world and do like little speeches so that way they can say they did a job, but they're really out partying and stuff. And this is both. This is both. Like I read a book called Throw Them All Out, right? And it was about how politicians get rich while they're in the government. And they all do. Like every last one of them. Lauren Boebert wasn't as rich as she is. Nancy Pelosi wasn't as rich as she is.
Yeah.
Martin Green. All these people get rich while they are in politics. And so a lot of people on the left and on the right don't like to hear both sides of the argument, don't like to hear, oh, both sides are doing this. But let's be real here. Both sides are doing a lot of scammy stuff. And we're all down here arguing on their behalf. Like you and
Yeah.
me, probably close to the same tax bracket. I can get 30 people in a room, right? All about the same, and we're going to argue on behalf of Republicans and Democrats who are all getting rich off of us. Like we should be the ones in control, but we're allowing them to be in control, and we're allowing them to be the puppet masters, right? And make us argue with each other over them making more money. It's crazy to me, man. It's crazy to
That
me.
absolutely right. Two more questions, coach. Number one, where do you get all your information from? Like you have great sources, you're like on to date with stuff. What do you like to get your information from?
I read a lot, man. I read a lot of books. I read a lot online. I watch Fox News, I watch Newsmax, I watch OAN. I don't know how I find the time, but I do. I just try to suck up all the information I can, man. I don't want to go into anything unprepared, even doing this podcast with you, I'm like, I wonder where he's going to want to go with this. I don't know if you wanted to debate or whatever. I just knew you wanted to talk. So I'm like, I just try to get prepared. So I read a lot, man. I suck up information. I listen to CNN, but I listen to both sides of the right and the left. I watch a lot of politicians on both sides. I used to consider myself a black conservative up until around the age of 25 years old. And then I started to realize like that we were being played kind of by these parties and stuff. So I became more progressive. So I don't have a political party as much as I have political beliefs and ideologies and just morals. You know, I live off of morals, man. I try to be the most moral person I can be. Try to be a loving husband, a loving father, and advocate for people. And that's what I'm always going to do.
I love it. I love it. Two questions. I have one more. I'm gonna add another question in there. You wish you had a boy?
No,
You ever think about
no.
that?
When my wife was pregnant the first time, oh, I want me a boy and all this. But man, listen, I'm a track coach and a track guy. My daughters are studs, man. They're both D1 athletes with scholarships, and well, my daughter's coming here for this year, but she was offered scholarships and wanted to come and run for me for a year first, you know. But my other daughter just graduated; she's in the graduate school right now and got another year of track.
Nice.
So, man, maybe when I was younger I did, but once I had one girl, I was like, oh, this is my jam right here, man. So I was happy to have two girls. Now, what I do wish is I had three more kids because I'm 48 years old. My youngest is 18 and she's about to leave the house, man. And I love this. I love the whole process, man. It was so good, man. So how old is your daughter?
Four.
And is that your only one?
No, I have a 2-year-old boy. So a 4-year-old girl and 2-year-old boy.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're 44. You said I try to give advice. I mean, if you love it the way I did, man, have more of them little mugs, man. You're 44 though. It might be like, man, I don't know if I want to keep up.
It's
You know,
hard, dude, because I'm slanging positivity 24/7, and I married the love of my life, who ironically we went to high school together. We're in the same grade, and she's
same,
44 also.
same
So
here, man.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
bro. So it's like it's if she would have paid attention to me in high school, I was telling you yesterday, we probably would have had 10. But because I got her late in life,
yeah.
I got married at 30. I got lucky. I got married at 37, which is kind of a good age and stuff like that. I think it's interesting there, dude. I can't thank you so much for taking the time and coming on here, brother. I always ask people before I end, man, any questions for me or anything I can help you with?
Nah, man. I think it was a good interview, and I'm glad I got to know you, man. I think it was good, and again, I think you're right. I think more people need to have these conversations. I think we find that we have a lot more in common than not. And I think sometimes social media and this whole world of like politics and stuff kind of drives us apart. And so I try my best to have these conversations with as many people as I can on both sides of it, you know. So yeah, no, dude, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it, and anytime you ever want me to come on,
I
always, man.
love
It was
it, dude. You know who you
good.
remind me a lot? Do you know who Mo Wells is? Maurice Wells?
No, I don't.
He went to LSU. He was a track guy. He's the trainer now for John Moran. He does all the LSU guys. One of the best trainers in the country. And
Okay.
now he's private, he doesn't, but he gets all the LSU guys. Odell Beckham Jr. has everybody. He's a cool guy like you. Reminds me of you a lot. You guys are the
Yeah.
same thing.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Dude,
Appreciate the time.
I'm gonna send you this after. I'll get your email, and once I pull it through, I'll give it to you unedited, and you can do whatever you want with it, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Keep fighting the good fight, okay?
For sure, man. Every day.
Take it easy.
All right, bro. See you later.
Bye.